What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome back to Football Manager 2019. This is Lyon Live, episode number 40. If you missed yesterday's episode, it was the double cup final special, PSG and Manchester City. Do go check it out, and of course, to all of you who watched it, who dropped likes on it, thank you very much. I'm glad that you guys are enjoying this series. I am absolutely loving it. So yes, with all that said and done, I am recording this the day after the last episode, but I've had a chance to come down a little bit, and we've got Season 2 here to wrap up, and we're going to start, getting into the summer, getting into the potentially the transfer business. But, let's take a look through our season awards to begin things. So, Player of the Year, perhaps unsurprisingly, has gone to Fekir. He got 21 goals and 11 assists in 45 games for the club, a 7.58 average rating. Pretty blooming good, if you ask me. You can see Aouar got goal of the season. What was this goal? Let's take a look. It was against Nantes. I don't remember it. Let's take a look at it. I mean, I must have seen it in an episode. For me, the Romero goal was goal of the season. I almost want to try and find it for comparison. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's an okay long shot, but there were better strikes out there. I now want to find the goal that Romero scored, but I can't remember what game it was in, which is a bit like looking for a needle in a haystack because we've scored a lot of goals this season. So just trying to find Romero's name on a list. I feel like it was a high-scoring game, if I remember correctly. Oh, I wish I could remember. I feel like it was a game where we scored a lot. It's probably sat here and you guys are screaming at the top of your lungs for it. I think it was this game against Nîmes. I want to say it was the game against Nîmes, but I might be wrong here. I feel like it was a game where there was a lot of long shot goals. Oh man, I wish I could remember it. I should have thought about this before I came here. Maybe it was the game against Monaco? I think it was. I think it was the game against Monaco. I've done that again. For some reason, I'm expecting to click on his name and for it just to work. If we just look here at opposition, Monaco. I think it was this 5-1. And I think it was the second goal. Let's take a look. Yeah, I think this was the game. I mean, you can tell me if you think this was better than the Aouar goal. If we just go back here. Yeah, this for me was goal of the season. Romero picks it up from deep, wins the ball back. Obviously, we know he's going to get on the end of it eventually. You can see he started off the attack. Trincao tries to get it in. Nice patient play. Ball's headed away to him and then he hits it. It's blocked once. You think, oh, that's game. No, it comes back to him again and then on the volley off the crossbar. I mean, not too bad, was it? But yeah, that for me was my goal of the season anyway. Signing of the season, interestingly, Lenglet. £8 million, obviously. Barcelona transfer listed him. He played awfully last year for them. I think a 7.47 average rating implies that he perhaps wasn't that awful for us. Also worth noting, of course, Lenglet got player of the season and, signing of the season, despite the fact that Gabels came in. Of course, Gabels, we've still not decided. It's Gabels, we're going with it. But obviously we brought him in for £25 million. He won Young Player of the Year. He ended up on 24 goals for the season. I don't think anyone predicted that many goals when we signed him in January. He was the Dembele replacement we required. In terms of the team of the year, nothing too unusual here. Toussaint not in the team. Instead, you can see Danny Olmo put in at centre attacking mid and Fekir dropped deeper, which I guess is a little bit interesting. Olmo, when we've called upon him, though, has been very, very good this year. And interesting to see Lucas Romero at right back ahead of Tete. Tete, he's a good player at right back, but he did feel like he went a little bit missing at times this year for us. He's out with a sprained ankle ligaments. There are some teams interested in him. He is definitely not a player that I am completely against. I'm not completely against selling him, especially with us having Eder Militao joining us as a player who could definitely play right back. Of course, in amongst all the regions, we have got him joining us for £20 million, an absolutely kind of bargain fee. And with him looking likely to join us, I do feel like we could move Tete on if we wanted to. Anyway, you can see the season review here. Winners of the Champions League, winners of Ligue, lost in that final. I mean, it would have been great to get the treble, wouldn't it? But it wasn't quite meant to be. In terms of league position, we were as low as 4th, but for most of the season, we were right up there. Match of the season, the 5-0 win against Bordeaux. Moment to forget. a 2-1 defeat against Lille. Anyway, squad dynamics, not a great deal's changed here. The players are happy being here. I'm happy that the players are happy. I mean, it's all very good. In terms of plan for next season, boys, we're going to just go and do it again, please. And they all love me. Excellent. Board confidence, unsurprisingly, it's just through the roof everywhere. You can see the dressing room atmosphere and club philosophies, the two kind of big contributing factors, as well as the tactics, which the board are apparently a fan of. But, well, it's all pretty good, innit? Obviously, match analysis after that Man City win, the 1-0 win. It wasn't a classic Champions League final, but you can see here, Gabel's had the best performance on the pitch. Not bad for a lad who's only 18 years old. He is just going to be incredible in the future. Obviously, came in, established himself as our #1 striker, and my word, he deserves it. Cornet has apparently been linked with a move to Dijon. I mean, we've been trying to get rid of Cornet for a while, so yes, please. Yeah, if anyone wants to take him for 3.5 million, that would be appreciated. Anyway, Champions League Dream Team. You can see here Wallace, Fekir and Depay, all worthy of a spot. Pretty impressive for Wallace to get in, I feel like. Of course, joined us for £14 million this year. I mean, he did pretty well, didn't he, to be fair to him? In the league especially, a 7.49 rating, whilst not quite as good as the previous year. He was pretty much, close to having an identical season in terms of goals scored, assists and player of the matches. And then Fekir, unsurprising. Depay, maybe a little bit of a surprise. Of course, signed a new contract for us during, I think, October, November time. And, well, he did a hell of a lot for us, to be fair. 10 league goals, 5 league assists. And in the Champions League, he got 5 goals and 2 assists as well. So, just a great goal-scoring player for us. A few people did mention in the comment section, maybe he's a player we could look to move on in the summer if the right offer came in. We've got some very talented players in the wide area. I am inclined to agree that if the right offer came in for Depay, I might look to sell him. I do feel like this year and this summer we're going to have a bit more interest in our players, and that is going to be something that we have to be quite wary of. Anyway, you can see here, goalkeeper of the year went to Bird Leno. We didn't have anyone there. We didn't have anyone in the defender of the year. Fekir and Depay came runner-up in European Championship, or rather the Champions League, midfielder of the year, and then we didn't have anyone in the forward department. Lautaro Martinez is really good in FM. Let's get a scout report on him. He had a good time. So did Lamar. Obviously, that's an interesting one because he is a French player. He would be pretty good to sign. Whether or not he's realistic, probably not. I think that the wage demands might be a little out of our ballpark. Of course, one thing that I really do pride myself here at Lyon is the fact that we don't spend a massive amount on wages, at least compared to the really kind of big European dogs. Anyway, I was a little bit concerned about our finances at the club because they were pretty negative. I mean, you can see here they were negative for much of the end of the year. But with all the prize money we've been getting from the Champions League, we're in a good spot. And fortunately, it has not impacted the developments that I asked the board to do at the kind of midway point of the season. So we've got a new stadium expansion. It's only 4,000 seats. And I'm going to be honest, £26 million for 4,000 seats seems like quite a lot. You can also see the board have agreed to upgrade our training and youth facilities. That's going to be £4.9 million at each of those. So that's some good news there. In terms of our actual budget, you can see we don't really have a great deal to work with, at least right now. I will say I'm pretty certain that we are going to be moving players on in the summer. I feel like our squad's a little bit too big. We loaned out some players who I don't know if they're going to be good enough for the first team going forward. So yeah, we will be doing some wheeling and dealing over the next couple of episodes. Of course, with Lyon Live, you see it all live. The clue's in the name, isn't it? But the summer is always an interesting one. If you're expecting loads of matches, if that's what you enjoy, the next couple of episodes you might not love. But I feel like it is just interesting, and the dilemmas that come up can be particularly enjoyable, I guess, to see me suffer through. Anyway, you can see here, DJ is playing for Arva, and Nim, well, they're obviously the club that Shadas is at. Interesting to note that that is the relegation playoff going on there, and it's 1-1 after the first game, and DJ got what could prove to be a crucial goal in that game. Let's have a look at it. I want to see his goal. Oh, okay, it was a penalty. I don't care about it now. I'm sure it was a lovely penalty, but it doesn't matter that much to me. But anyway, we'll stick with the Sky Sports Dark skin, not the Premier League one. I was fiddling around with that earlier in another save game and it carries on between. I do get a lot of questions about, what skin do you use, what graphics packs do you use, and what face pack, all that jazz. The links are always down in the description. And one thing I'd say is if you're someone who watches my videos a lot and you ever see someone write in the comments what skin is he using or how does he have the logos or any of those questions, it would save me a lot of heartache if you could just reply to that person in the comments for me. I must type it at least 2 or 3 times a day at the moment. And whilst I understand, you people wanting to know what skin I'm using and all that stuff, it's like I put it in the description for a reason and people just don't check the description. I appreciate that my description is not a short one on my YouTube videos, but it is there. Anyway, you can see in the French under-20s team, voicing Verdier. I mean, he looks very blooming good, doesn't he, at 15 years old? It's a shame about his inconsistency, but definitely one for the future. Durand, fantastic for him, actually. He's only 15, and he is playing for the under-20s French team as their starting goalkeeper. That fills me with optimism. Really good news there. Also, Mario Ferreira playing for the Portuguese under-20s, and he got a goal against Brazil. I mean, he's going to be an absolute beast, isn't he, in the coming years? I mean, I hope he will be. You can see here a little bit of a summary of all the players we've had out on loan this year. You can see there is so many players here with kind of 2.5-star kind of current ability who I've probably got to try and bed into the team next year. Players like Markovic, players like Kanate, I feel like they are good enough to have a role as a rotation option. Now, obviously, we do already have kind of sentiments. We have players like Denayer, but if we just compare Denayer to Kanate, I mean, you can see there, Kanate is just the better defender. Denayer perhaps a little bit more versatile, perhaps more likely to keep him in the team. But for someone like Kananon, I mean, he's been reliable when I've called upon him, but Kanate is just a little bit better, a couple of years younger. So maybe there'll be a little bit of movement there. I've kind of got to free up spots in the team. I guess we are naturally perhaps going to lose one centre back kind of from the first team this year in Marcelo. He has 1 year left on his contract, the 33-year-old. He has been kicking up a little bit of a fuss about wanting to go during the season. I can't imagine anyone's going to want to pay that much money for him, being 33 years old. But obviously, if he was to step aside, that would open up an opportunity for one of those 2 centre-backs. But obviously, elsewhere in the team, Ferreira's done well on his loan spell. Who else we have? We've had Maxi. He's been away at Metz. I think he's a player who I'd like to loan out to a team in our own division next year. I think that would be beneficial for him. But really looking through this whole team, there's players who have really, really performed on loan, and then there are those that just haven't quite hit the ground running quite as much. Gravenberch, a great example of a player who at 17, perhaps I need to get back into the first team and see what he can do. At the same time, he's playing such regular football at Auxerre that maybe it's just worth keeping him there. Did they get European football this year? I feel like they might have just missed out, because that would have been ideal, in all honesty, if he was, able to play European football. Yeah, you can see here he's not. Little interestingly, by the way, they got a Champions League spot ahead of Monaco. So actually, it makes me wonder if I should maybe just propose that Kanate stays there for another year. He was a very regular member of their first team. I'm going to propose an extension and see if they're interested. I think that makes sense. Particularly if we can bring back Markovic. We don't need to recall back both of them necessarily. And, further down the pecking order, players like Antonio Marin, he's not quite developed as much as I'd like, but he's still got plenty of time left on his contract, perhaps ready to be loaned out again. Terrier, I don't know how to feel about Terrier. He's been on loan at Lille. He's played a little bit for them, a fair bit on off the bench. Again, maybe a player who, given the fact he's got a chance to play Champions League football with them, it wouldn't be the worst loan idea in the world if they want to renew it. We'll propose both players get extended on. I feel like both of those players, Kanate and Terrier, I'm going to struggle to find a spot for in the first team next year. And Lille is just a very, very good club to have them on loan at. The good news is they want to loan both of them again. And they're willing to have both of them as kind of first team players, which is really, really good news. So we'll agree to both of those. I think that makes sense. 2 players in their early 20s need regular first team football. I could maybe bring them into the team as backups and maybe look to sell some players on in our first team to free up spots for them more. But it might be a little bit less risky, rather than selling some players who are better than them and hoping that they develop just to loan them out to a team like Lille for another season. Just to me, it makes a lot of sense, at least. Anyway, can I ask the board for some more money? Can I? I can increased wage budget. Can we have one? They think it's sufficient. We could lose our best players to our rivals. Right, well, then they're not going to give me a bigger wage budget. Of course, we don't really have a transfer budget to spend as such. So, much like last year, a lot of our transfer business, I think, will be determined by what happens, I guess, in terms of our own players, you know, and if they have offers on them. We can see here, Auger played for France's under-20s. He looks exceptional at 16. Has he improved that much in the last year? Let's have a look. I feel like he's not improved that much. Can only look at the last 6 months, unfortunately, but he's not, you know, changed the world, has he, with his development? His physicals really aren't that great. We're training him as a roaming playmaker to try and help with those physicals, but not a great deal happening there. He has really good passing vision and work rate and teamwork. So for that reason, I'm wondering if we get him in a player-preferred move, which is I want him to try and dictate the way that we play. You know, this guy could be an incredible playmaker for the future, and with his vision, and just his great decision-making, great first touch. I mean, as a deep line playmaker, he's really, really good, and he is the kind of player who could be an incredible kind of player just to set the tempo of matches. I actually wonder with how good he is at deep line playmaker, is it worth training him to play defensive midfielder, deep line playmaker? Or even a regista role for him, maybe? Just given the fact his physicals haven't really changed a great deal. He's lacking a little bit, perhaps, to be a regista in terms of finishing. But then his long shots and dribbling could still improve. He's only 15 or 16. He might be 16 now. But either way, he's just such a young player. I'd still like his physicals to be a little bit better. You know what? Even though they've not improved a great deal, I'm going to persist with it. But we'll try him as a roaming playmaker in a deeper area of the pitch and see how that serves his development. But at 16, he already looks top-notch. He's probably good enough to go out on loan to a team in our division. But if I'm not mistaken, France has some rules to do with the minimum age of players. Yeah, players under 16 are not allowed to play. He's the kind of player who could go to a newly promoted team and just help them a ton, I feel like. Anyway, Terrier's loan is to be confirmed, so that's some good news there. He has 4 years left on his current contract, so the dream situation is that he goes out on loan and improves a ton and comes back and is a valuable asset to the first team. Worst case, he goes there, 3 years left on his contract to the end of next year. We can maybe sell him on for some money because he's had some okay performances in the Champions League. I don't feel like there's a bad thing that can come of it, if that makes sense. I feel like it's always going to be a net gain for us. Let's just have a bit of a sort through our team here. So Pereira's loan's going to end. Rashford's loan's going to end. So you can go to the reserves. Terrier's going to be on loan for the year. Let's just have a think about things and kind of the current squad. Then in our reserves, players coming back from loan. Shadas. Mario Ferreira. I feel like we can get him on loan to a team in a high division. Markovic is going to be coming back. DJ will be coming back, which could be very good. Maxi I'd like to loan out again. Gravenberch might be back. Marin will be back. Let's move back all these players to the senior team who we've not secured loan deals for next year. Obviously, we've still got players like Papa Cech as well, who I kind of just need to try and sell. I'm really hoping that someone's going to want to buy him. I feel like £5 million for him is a really good deal. Like, if you were... I say that. Maybe it's not. I feel like as a squad player for a Premier League side at 22 years old, he'd be great. Just given our current squad situation, I don't know if he's ever going to be good enough for us. Gananon could be an interesting player to move on if I need to, but really I'd like to get rid of Marcelo. And there's players like Cognat as well, who's just never going to play for us. Just try and get him out of the team. I'm a little bit nervous for what's going to greet me when I now click on the senior team. I mean, it's a big squad, isn't it? Is what you'd say. It's not small. Georgian is homegrown, which is good. Rajkovic, obviously, just a very, very good backup goalkeeper. Lopez, fantastic first choice goalkeeper. Goalkeeper-wise, I'm happy. I feel like Markovic is going to come in for Marcelo. That's kind of a straight swap in the team there. Although I still need to get Marcelo an offer. Apparently, according to his agent, he'd like to stay at the club. I mean, he's been kicking up such a fuss about wanting to leave for a while that I kind of want to see the back of him. Additionally, he's not as influential in the dressing room as he once was, so I feel like the chances are that he's not going to be able to turn the dressing room against me and me trying to force him out, so I'm not too nervous about that. Of course, the other thing at centre-back is we're going to have Eder Militao coming in, who can also play right-back, so maybe Gnanon could be moved on if the right offer came in. Don't get me wrong, he's a very, very good centre-back. We brought him in for 3.7 million. And in the league, he performed very, very well, to be fair. Just doesn't have as much potential as some of our other players. He'd be a good team for most teams in our league. I'm going to be a bit cheeky here. I'm going to offer him out for way more than I think he's worth and just see if anyone nibbles. I could offer him out with no kind of price specified, but then teams might try and lowball me and offer me less than what I'm looking for. And then he might just kick up a fuss and try and force a move anyway. So I'd rather deter teams from even making an offer that's kind of really low by setting that higher asking price. Anyway, Nim versus Arva. Nim, I kind of want to see stay up. I've developed a weird soft spot for them with having kind of Jadas on loan at them, but at the same time, DJ plays for Arva. In some ways, I should have attended that game. Arva have actually done it, so Nim are going to be relegated. It's a disaster for them. DJ, he didn't have a classic game, did he? But he did okay. At 20 years old, this guy looks great. I don't know if I can give him enough first-team football in the coming year to make him a regular player. You know, in terms of development-wise, I feel like it might be a little too much to ask for, which does make me wonder if maybe I should just loan him out. Anyway, plenty of awards coming in. Mario Ferreira won Players Player of the Year in the second tier. Great news for him. I mean, look at those numbers. 15 goals, 19 assists in 31 games. He won most assists in the competition. Vakir was named a Star of the Season. Neymar in second. Wallace in third. Fair play. Lopez, best goalkeeper in the league. You know it. In terms of the Ligue Stars Team of the Year, I mean, you can see we had both centre-backs and two centre-mids and Lopez in goal. Pierre apparently was right up there. I mean, surprised that he did as well as he did, but to be fair, he did pretty well at right-back. 9 assists from right-back is really impressive. Lucas Hernandez and Verratti, Neymar and Mbappe for PSG, and Pavon squeaking in. I do like the look of Pavon. I wonder if with Monaco missing out on Champions League football, if he might try and force a move. I mean, Fekir's going to be the tricky player to keep hold of, isn't he? He's winning all the awards for kind of best player. He really has carried us this year. The asking price we've got set is 120 million. That's how much I expect to get for him. Given how well he's performing, given his current contract situation, he's got a long time left on his current deal. No real reason to get rid of him. I'm not going to vote for Manager of the Season because I think I deserve to win it. You can see here, Ferreira won Star of the Season. Lopez has dedicated his award to me. I mean, we're just getting all the silverware. Very happy with Mario Ferreira's development this year, though. Joined us for, I think, £500,000 last January. Developed a little bit in that time, but for him to step up and go to the second tier of our kind of, ladder and do as well as he has makes me think he's probably going to be good enough next year to be a player for kind of the coming years in the first team. But certainly in the next kind of year, I'd like to see him play at a higher level in our own division. Anyway, Ndombele's had a Team of the Year bonus activated. He gets £98,000. We are fine in financial fair play terms. Commercial summary. More sponsorship than ever before. More matchday income. More competition prize money. You can see actually the difference in competition prize money was significant. £25 million. That really is good news. Broadcast revenue up by 8 million as well. New scouting budget has been set. The board provide a cash injection. How much do I want to see the board inject into the club? How much would be a good amount? I want to say 20 million. And if we could have some of that to spend as well, that'd be really good. I'll take that. 22.5 million. That will do me. See a few of our players out on international duty doing okay in the kind of youth situation. Martinez has a release clause of 40 million. I mean, I don't really need another striker, but he's really, really blooming good, isn't he? Has he got a release clause then? What is the clause? Minimum release clause, 40 million. It's got 3 years on it. That's a really low release clause for a player as good as he is. He's only 22. How would he fit in a team with Mercy, Ken, and Gabels? See, loads of people have been like, Jack, you need to play Kien and you need to play Gabels as kind of a front two strike partnership. But the issue with that is we have so much talent in the wide attacking midfielder areas that, like, I don't know how we'd actually make it work. I mean, in some ways, Martinez would be the ideal replacement for Fekir if Fekir had to go. Which might seem weird at first glance, but there isn't a great deal between them. The only difference I can really see would be in a bit of the creativity. You know, Fekir's a bit of a better player when it comes to vision and passing. More of a playmaker, whereas Martinez is more of, you know, an attacking midfielder. But he's a great player. And he is very, very talented at 22. I feel like if we got a good offer for Fekir of, say, 100 million, like, Martinez would probably just be the player to bring in immediately. His wage demands apparently wouldn't even be that crazy. Theoretically, I mean, they could still be way off the mark. I feel like sometimes scouts just lie about it. Cornet transfer saga expected to develop. We won Manager of the Year. 81% win ratio. Not too bad. I'm just wondering with those board cash injections if that upped our budgets at all. The answer is a resounding no. So we have 0 transfer budget, but we have 70 million in the bank balance. I believe the official end of season for France is the 20th of June. That's when, like, the league table and stuff will reset, you know, back to zeros. Sometimes, if I'm not mistaken, the brain, come to me brain. Sometimes the transfer budgets and stuff reset around then, so we'll keep an eye out for that date. You can see Fekir transfer rumour being linked with Liverpool for 80 million. Oh, sorry, for 97 million. He's valued at 80 million. Is that actually Fekir's asking value? Damn, that's really, really good. I think 120 million. I think 100 million, I'd probably have to think about it quite hard, particularly with Martinez as a replacement. Part of me's like, oh, I could just keep rejecting the offers, but if I'm being really realistic, I don't feel like he's worth 100. Is he worth 100 million? In terms of his actual performances, he probably is worth 100 million. Anyway, you can see a few of the youngsters we were looking to bring in have joined us. Muller, you can go to the under-19s. I feel like he was one of the players who we accidentally didn't renew the contract of as part of our latest youth batch. Huet at right back, though. I really like the look of this guy. Really, really good right back. We don't really have a standout right back either. We'll put him on strength training and complete wing back, and he is going to be in the under-19s, of course, because he's only 15, bless him. A little bit too early to have him in the reserves, perhaps. Anyway, you can see here, Olmo and Romero now considered leading players for the division. That's really interesting. I mean, the other thing is, if we were to sell Fekir, I have got Aouar and Olmo who could step up. Someone did raise an interesting point, actually, in the comment sections. I'm afraid I can't remember who suggested it, but someone did say, you know, maybe you could loan out Aouar. Because if we compare Aouar to Olmo, I mean, Aouar is just a better player than Olmo. I'd be more likely to loan out Olmo, I feel like, if we were to sell Fekir. But then we're also going to have Shadas coming back. If we just compare Shadas with Aouar, again, Aouar's better, but there's not a world of difference between them. I feel like Shadas deserves a better club than Nim to go on loan to. Milan declare interest in Mendy. I mean, that's going to have to be a really blooming good offer for me to consider it, I'm going to be honest. Cornet's having offers for him, but I don't want to loan him out. I need to sell him, really, because I don't want to use up our limit on players that we can loan out. I think in France it's 8 players you can loan out to domestic clubs. So for a player I'm looking to sell, it makes no sense to try and, I guess, get rid of him. Anyway, we've had an interest from Milan in Mendy. His asking price is set at 80 million. I feel like 80 million is a pretty fair reflection. Great young French left-back. Is he irreplaceable? No, not really. I mean, we have Moreno as a backup already. Anyway, you can see here, offers for Kane. Brest have made an offer. 2.3 million. I'm hoping that they're going to be able to match his wage demands. I mean, in terms of wages, is there anyone who's really not justifying his wage? Is it bad that I just come back to Joseph Martinez repeatedly? I promised him I wasn't going to sell him. There's lots of teams interested in loaning him, however. Interesting that his value is now 19 million. You might remember we were trying to sell him for 8 million last year. We kept him in the team. He had an okay season, to be fair. Still didn't play enough games, I don't feel like, to justify his wages, but he did okay. I did promise Moreno not to sell him. I mean, to be fair, Moreno did very well for us. 7.32 average rating in the league. How does he compare kind of directly with Mendy? Statistics is probably what I'm more interested in. I mean, as players directly, you'd probably say Moreno has the edge in a few different areas. And Mendy, don't get me wrong, great younger French player, but at 25 now, he's just turned 25, but at 25 now, he's not going to, like, improve a metric ton. So if the right offer came in, you know, you've got to consider it. I mean, you can see here, if we look at the statistics, Mendy just got so many more assists. That's kind of what swings me towards Mendy a little bit more. But is that really the difference between crossing, or is that just because he's in a rich vein of form? That's kind of what I've got to consider here. And I think it largely comes down to form. You know, they're two players who are very good. Both are consistent and enjoy big matches. It's a tricky one. I feel like if with either of them, if the right offer came in, I probably wouldn't be against selling them. Fekir's the really tricky one. Because we had such a good year last year that part of me's like it would be a bit of a step back to get rid of Fekir. But in terms of longer term, if we could get 100 million for him, obviously that kind of level of investment is just huge. Just looking at players who are transfer listed here. Is it worth just scouting all of these just so we've got them kind of on our radar? Perhaps it is. Some pretty good players there. I noticed players like Dennis Suarez up there. Capoue, I guess he's 31 now, but he's not a bad player at all. We'll just get some scout reports here on these players just to see exactly what we're looking at with them. But they don't look bad at all. Some of these players who are transfer listed. As I said, on the 20th of June, we might get a little update where kind of the seasonal stats reset. Interesting to see that... you can see here, Monaco have made an offer for Denea of 4.2 million, which I really don't understand because I'm not sure why they'd ever think that I'd sell him for that cheap, considering he's valued at, well, 8 million. And he's not transfer listed or anything. I'm going to up his asking price. Denea isn't like the best player in our team, but as just a super versatile centre-back, he's just ideal. If I could get an offer of, say, 10 million for him, I might sell him, knowing that I've got Eder Militao coming in. That's still just kind of up in the air. One thing I want to do today before we do get to the reset is just look at our squad page, just have a look at the, you know, the numbers behind the performances. You can see here, kind of a few more of our players playing on under 21 international duty and doing okay, which is good. Pontet is apparently having lots of offers for him. I'm quite happy to let his contract run out, I'm going to be honest. Lacazette apparently has been removed from the shortlist. Has his asking price dropped? No, I think it's actually gone up. I like Lacazette, and I like the idea of bringing him back to Lyon, but not for the money that they want for him. It's just not worth it. It doesn't fit within the ethos that I've tried to instill here of kind of, you know, looking for value in the market, but kind of spending within our means. And what I mean by that is, whilst we have spent 25 million on Gabels, and I feel like we ignore Kien just because he was someone who our board decided was a £33 million player. But with Gabels, yes, we did spend 25 million of it on him, but you have got to remember a large chunk of that was from the Dembele deal. I'm just thinking, have we had the money from the Dembele deal yet? No. We're due £40 million off them next month. So our club balance is going to be over 100 million. I should feel like I should be getting a massive, massive transfer budget for this summer, or at least a readjusted thing, given our current situation. Anyway, before the season reset just happens, I think it is just worth looking, at some of the kind of stats in terms of goal scorers and stuff. So you can see here, Gabel's 24 goals for the year, Fekir with 21 in behind, Depay then on 16, Bertrand Traore in 11. You can see DJ and Ferreira playing in Ligue 2 really did do very well in the league below us. Hoping that they can keep it going. Mendy was right up there in terms of assists, and I feel like maybe an underappreciated player by me is Saint-Maximin. At 23 years old, obviously great to have a young French prospect, but this year he did do pretty well. He actually did really well in the cup competitions. That's where he got 7 of his assists. Of course, some of those cup games were against significantly weaker opposition, but he still contributed a fair bit. Obviously, Francisco Trincao, he's had a few issues with injuries to end the season, but as a player who's just developed a ton, I am very, very excited by him. If we just compare him to 12 months ago, I mean, you can just see the level of improvement here. Determination's gone up by 2, positioning up by 1, anticipation. He has so many attributes as well, around 14 and 15, that while right now he might not, when you just look at him at first glance, look amazing, just with, only 3 attributes above kind of 15, I feel like in the coming years that there is a real distinct possibility that a lot of those will be yellow, and suddenly just at a glance he will just look like a significantly better player. As well, he's only 20. I mean, if this is what he's doing age 20, I really can't wait to see what he's going to do coming, further forward for us. I do have my stats view that I sometimes view, but it's the kind of thing where I sit in a really, really quiet room and kind of think it all through myself. I'm just thinking if there's any stats here we should look at. Of course, you can find all of these views on the Steam Workshop to get yourself. So if you feel like any of these would be particularly useful for you, you can find them there. I mean, interestingly here, you can see Lopez has 5,000 minutes this season, but then the second most played player in terms of game time is actually Lenglet, which actually surprises me because he did miss 10 league games this year where we just kind of rotated things, but he still, just played so much on the pitch. It's kind of crazy. In terms of, where's chances created? Is this it? Yeah, chances created. In terms of the most creative player in our team, Fekir's up there with 15, and then it's Trincao on 13. Interesting to note, Moreno, despite having significantly fewer assists than Mendy, has actually created more chances. He has got less key passes. I guess it constitutes what the game considers creating a chance. But I do feel like that is something to consider, that maybe, the fact that Mendy has more assists than Moreno at left-back isn't down necessarily entirely to the fact Moreno isn't doing as much going forward. It's just the fact that the finishing just hasn't been as good when Moreno's been playing, because a lot of the time he has been playing with the rotated 11. I mean, I could look through all these, numbers and stats until the cows come home. I will say now, if you spot anything that is super standout, write about it in the comments to me. If you're someone who loves spreadsheets like this, I'm sure there is some interesting snippets that I could find if I wanted to here, but I know not everyone likes looking at a spreadsheet like this. I feel like this is what accountants see. And I don't mean that as a dig, but if you are an accountant, is this what your life is like? Because it scares me a little bit. As it just feels very overwhelming. But yes, I'm sure there's some stats and numbers here. If there is any that are super interesting, please let me know about them. But I think for now, there's no point in getting too, engrossed in them, I guess. But anyway, I think to wrap up today's episode, because I want to make this one just a little bit shorter, I think we'll try and get to the 20th of June. I know it's famous and kind of funny last words with me when I say, hey, we're going to do a shorter episode today, and then the episode's like an hour long. Like, that I failed in my mission. So if you now check the time of this episode and there's more time than you expected left over, you know what happened. But the reason for kind of maybe wanted to make this short, just to be completely transparent with you, is that over Easter I'm away. I've talked about this a little bit in another episode. But basically over Easter I'm going to be away. So as a result, I am doing videos in advance of a Bottom at Christmas challenge in the Premier League. So it's going to be like this series in terms of it's 100% live. But instead of doing a big backlog of this series, which I'm not really a massive fan of doing, I don't mind, having a few episodes to go up whilst I'm away, but I don't want to play kind of 6 months ahead for the sake of doing videos ahead of schedule, but this kind of bottom at Christmas thing is something that I want to do, but I also want to have all the episodes recorded, way in advance of when I'm away in a couple of weeks' time, just so it's kind of, I don't have to worry whilst I'm doing my last minute packing and panicking. I'm not sat there thinking, oh my gosh, I now need to record all these videos. So obviously, with it being Sunday today, or Monday as you watch this video, it's just kind of nice to maybe have a slightly shorter episode of this, but give me plenty of time and give me my voice so that I can still record some of that other series that's going to be coming up in the near future. Yeah, it's unfortunate that I was about to say it's unfortunate that I have a job. It's not unfortunate I have a job, but in terms of the weekend is my best opportunity to do videos for whilst I'm away in advance. And as a result of me recording this on the weekend and needing to save my voice and also be ready to record this other series, it's just kind of one of these things where these episodes might be, a little bit shorter. Don't be surprised, by the way, if over the next week the episodes aren't, an hour and a half long each. It's just the way that things are going to happen, I'm afraid. Anyway, you can see here, in terms of European rankings, we're up to 9th. I think that's going to help with our seedings in the Champions League. Homegrown status. We have plenty of players who are homegrown at club. I'm hoping there's some good players homegrown at club here who we can register. Oh, wow. Okay, really good news. We've gone up in the coefficients, overtaking Germany. That's huge. So we're going to get an extra Champions League spot from next season. Obviously, we're going to have to fight to maintain that. But, doing better than Germany. We're in a good little spot there, I guess, in terms of how we're doing in Europe. You can see here Romero involved in Argentina's win against Peru. Konate, Markovic and Gravenberch all involved in youth international duty as well. So, that's really good news, the extra Champions League spot. I guess the only concern is that Lille, as one of the 3 representatives this coming year, they're going to be up against it a little bit. And they're going to not necessarily be struggling, but Monaco would probably do a little bit better in the Champions League, which would help us maintain our kind of 3rd place seeding and the extra spots that we're currently missing out on. Anyway, you can see here, Duran signed his first deal. He's just turned 16. He looks like a very, very good goalkeeper. Probably wonders if I could loan him out to a team in the league below us where he'd be a regular first-team player. I mean, it's got to be worth a shot, hasn't it? I'd also like all his wages to be covered. Let's see if anyone wants to take him on loan. You can see here a few teams actually in the league below us, including Lyon. I feel like this team used to be really, really good. I say really, really good. They were a consistent player in the league for a number of years, but they did get relegated and they've had a couple of years in the league below. How are their facilities? They're actually really good. They've got great training facilities. I think he's ideal for them then as a first-team regular. Red Star, just nowhere near the facilities. At 16, it would be great for Duran just to be getting regular first-team football. And you can see this team here, whose name I'm not going to try and butcher. They've just been promoted up, but they don't have as good facilities, I don't think, so we'll go with that. You can see here an offer's been made for Denea. I want 15 million, Monaco. I mean, surprisingly, they've not told me to completely bugger off, which is nice. Denea's not a player I necessarily want to sell, but if I could get in the region of 14 million for him, knowing that we've got Eder Militao joining, it would kind of just make sense as a transfer. It really wouldn't be the end of the world to get money for him. You see, 12 million for Denea is huge. I know he can play as a left-back, and that's something that Eder Militao can't do, but it might help with our centre-back situation a little bit. I mean, if we just compare these guys as well, just as a head-to-head, I mean, it's a bit of a no contest, isn't it? And Denea's leaving for 12 million. Was it 12 million we negotiated? 12.5 million? We're going to lose a little bit of money, unfortunately. But it just, yeah, in terms of the actual money, it basically means that we're losing Denea and getting in Eder Militao for about a net spend of £9 million. That's just great business. Anyway, I'm going to ask the board for an increased percentage of transfer revenue because it's really, really low. Okay, they've upped it to 40. I mean, 40% is still pretty low. Considering how much money we've now got in the bank, it was at 25%. So any player we sold, we get 25% of that fee back to spend. They've upped it to 40. I kind of want to remind the board, we've got £80 million sat in the bank. Anyway, you can see here, Fekir playing for France is good. We've increased our stature significantly. PSG have declined in reputation. Oh, are we bigger than them? Oh, wow, okay. We've really shot up. That's really impressive. In terms of rep, we are right up there with 4.5. PSG have slipped down. I don't know if this is actually the rankings. I struggle to believe that we're as big as Tottenham. Why are Tottenham so big and why are Barcelona dropped down? What did Tottenham do this year? What did you do, Tottenham? Oh, they won the Champions League in the first year. Okay, that makes a little more sense. How did they win it? I mean, pardon me for sounding surprised. What makes it more impressive is the fact that we knocked them out. You might remember this year. I didn't even realise that they had won it. Well, yeah, we knocked them out in the quarter-final. This year, obviously, they lost to us, but they did win the World Club Championship. I guess the Champions League has a big impact on reputation, and that's why Tottenham's so highly rated as well. PSG making Ndombele offer 52 million is just nowhere near the figure that I was I want 150 million. I know that might be impossible for a team to hit, but that's how much I want. He's just irreplaceable. I'm hoping he's not going to try and force a move off the back of that offer. The fact that we're only getting 40% back of any future sale makes me even more hesitant than I was already to sell a player on. See here all those scout reports of all the transfer listed players starting to come in, which is good. It looks like the kind of end of season stuff has kicked in as well. So if we just go past all the scout reports, end of season review for Kier had the highest average rating. Lille overperformers. Tete playing well on international duty. Depay as well. We'll accept the new subscriptions on the social feed. A few youth players being promoted. A few players with contracts expiring. I might terminate some of those. Board want a bigger wage budget for the director of football position. Interesting. Opening fixtures, kind of kind to us. We've got Rennes, Saint Etienne. That's going to be a big game against our rivals. Guingamp, Toulouse, Bordeaux. That could definitely be a trickier start. We're going to get £40 million in TV money. This is all lovely stuff. A few games rearranged, I guess, due to Champions League commitments, if I had to hazard a guess. Have we been given any more money to spend? The answer is no. I mean, we're sat with 72 million in the bank. Surely you can spare me some transfer budget. Or at least a slightly higher percentage to spend. This is before we've got the 40 million as well for Dembele going too. I mean, it's an interesting situation here at Lyon, isn't it? I guess I should do a bit of cleaning out of some of the, players whose contracts are going to be expiring. Gravenberch, your contract's up in a year. Is that because you're out on loan? Or is it actually up in a year? It is actually up in a year. You need a new contract. I mean, what your agents just told me scares me a little bit in terms of I'm worried that you're about to ask for a significant rise. You were on £12,000 a week. Look, I'll give you 17.5, and if you play 30 league games, it goes up to 22.5. Okay, it isn't as bad as I was expecting. A 5-year deal would be good for him. He doesn't want a 5-year deal. 5-year deal? Okay. It's a bit more of a rise than I'd like, but he's definitely worth £22,000 a week on the wages, so I'm not as concerned about that as perhaps I should be. Man, I really hope that we're going to get some budget increases. The board, can we ask for the money to be in other areas? I would like to see the available transfer revenue increased. I mean, that would be good. Really, I'd like to ask for the wage budget and transfer budget to be increased, but I can't do that. We've already recently requested it, and they've actually granted it again. I mean, please be 100%. There's no reason why they shouldn't be 100%. They've gone up to 55. We're whittling them away. A tiny bit at a time. Can I ask for... I can't ask for anything. Right, the end of season. I'm not sure where we are in the leaderboards, but who actually cares about the Football Manager leaderboards? The answer is no one. Cornet is going to go to Brest. That's good news. Who's this guy? He's having some trial offers with teams. I don't know why we're being notified about him. Why has this appeared in my inbox? Did he? Are these guys one of our affiliates? I don't know. I wonder if it's worth trying to get an affiliate in the league below us, you know, to send players on loan. Yeah, I'd like to get involved in it. Let me know what clubs we could potentially, you know, loan players out to. Oh, I can choose a team. How exciting! Why is there no one on the list? What just happened? Choose club. Filter. I mean, why give me the choice of nothing? If you choose a club, a decision should be made in the next few days. Right, let's try unticking all clubs or all nations. Is that? I think it's lagging. Maybe that's why it's not loading it all. Maybe there's too many players. I want to untick all nations and just try ticking France. What are you doing, game? Right, we've unticked them all. Right, now if I tick France, is the list going to load? No. Right, can I select the team from their profile page and suggest them? And if I was to suggest a team, who would I want? I actually think Lyon would be a pretty good option. So let's choose them. Confirm. They're in the league below us. There'd obviously be a risk of us loaning out players to them that they might get promoted and that would terminate the agreement. But they have really good training facilities. They're going to be looking for promotion, and I think there's a few of our players, our kind of 16-year-olds, who would be good enough for them. Ken has been given a yearly wage rise due to the contract that our board negotiated with him. Dene is going to leave for £12 million. I think that's pretty good business with Eden Militao joining us. I know he is a bit of a hometown hero at Lyon, but the reality is he's just not quite good enough. So we sold Cornet and Dene. That's going to free up some wages, which is good. Man City gets some of the profit for that sale. Obviously, we're going to have Rashford's loan ending, which is going to free up some more wage budget as well. In fact, can I just terminate that loan now? Is that something we can do? No, we've got to wait until the end of the month. But we now have £7 million to spend and some wage budget, which I guess is something. Can I ask the board for some more money yet? No. Man, we have £85 million in the bank. European Super Cup, we've got Barcelona. That's going to be a fun time. We've also got the Trophy des Champions. It's almost certainly not how you pronounce it, but it sounded French. But that'll be big for us as well as an opportunity, perhaps. Board, okay, apparently they couldn't make a deal with Lorient. I mean, I'm disappointed. Tuati, you're good, but you're not worth loaning out. You're not good enough to take up one of our domestic loaning out spots. Is anyone interested in buying Martinez? His current value is £21 million. Let's offer him out for 21 and see if we get any nibbles at all. He's the kind of player that with Kien and Gabels just looking nailed on as strikers, I just don't think he's worth paying £50,000 a week. We just have better, younger strikers out there. And also, if I do want to play DJ in the team a little bit more, it might be worth it. Oh, God. PSG have made an offer for Fekir. What's the offer going to be? 74 million is really low. Like, he's valued at 73 million. Can we persuade him to stay? PSG have a fantastic squad with better players than we have available to us. Joining them will give me a better chance of improving as a player and achieving something in football. We just won a Champions League and the league. What would it take to keep you here? There's nothing that I can do that will make him stay. I'm going to tell him that they're not close to making an offer that's acceptable. 120 million. He wants 91. 105, 95. Right. £100 million. If they offer 100 million and it has to all be up front, Fekir can go. What do we think, folks? That's the dilemma I think we'll leave today's episode on. I don't really want to sell Fekir, but if we did get 100 million, I feel like someone like Martinez would be just ideal to bring in as a replacement. I mean, the difficulty is that I'm always going to struggle to fill the void that Fekir leaves. Not just because of his actual ability, but because of his set pieces. Although we do have some good set piece takers. Let's just have a quick look here. Also, why are my set piece takers not set up? Did they clear at some point without me realising? I mean, we do have Depay. He's not that far off. Maybe it wouldn't be as difficult as I thought to replace him. Maybe. I mean, don't get me wrong, it wouldn't be easy. We've also got Shadas. I like Shadas. I have a weird soft spot for this guy. He's like mini Fekir. A mini Fekir. Like, he's a little off Fekir. Right, I'm going to reject that. 100 million is what we've said. If they bid 100 million, I will consider it. But until then, I don't feel like he's worth selling for much less than 100 million. Cognat is set to be sold. That's good news. More players who are being offered loan deals. I don't really want to send out on loan, so we'll reject all of those. Tete is an interesting one because he didn't have an amazing season at right back, and we have got Eder Militao joining us, and we have Lucas Romero who can also play right back. So it's kind of like if the right offer came in, I might be willing to sell him. We'll offer him out for 60 million and see if anyone makes an offer, but I don't think they're going to. Once Rashford leaves, that's going to give us a fair bit of wage budget to fiddle around with, isn't it? I mean, we're already up to £76,000 free on the wages. I feel like I'm going to end up checking every day with the board if we can request more money. Man, the Fekir situation is a really tricky one. I don't think I could replace him. That's kind of the struggle I've got right now. But it's a struggle that I think can wait another day. So I think we'll wrap up today's episode here. I will say, thank you for watching today's episode, guys. I do hope you've enjoyed. Obviously, lots of dilemmas going on, but I think we're in an okay spot, you know. I feel like if we need to sell players, we can. There's some good players out there who we could potentially bring in. I mean, the finances of the club are in a really, really good spot as well. And we've still got the Dembele money coming in. We're going to be laughing in money to a point where I don't even necessarily need to sell anyone. But, well, we'll think about that going forward, I guess. But anyway, I'm going to wrap up everything here. Thank you for watching. If you have enjoyed, as always, do drop a like on today's video. Let me know what you'd be doing if you were me in my current situation. Obviously, we have some big players here. There's not massive pressure to sell them. If the right offer comes in, though, there's some players that I definitely think are replaceable with the kind of young talent that we've got coming in. There is some just seriously good young players in our squad who I think could really step up if we need them to. But yes, that is everything. I've said this is everything for everything now. We're stopping here. Guys, thank you for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. It's me, Jack, and I'll talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.